The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Oh, I failed you.
Sir, you are no longer my co-host.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the Saturday brunch edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts. To my right is a man who survived NHL trade deadline yesterday, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be in the seat with you. It is one of the highlights of my Saturday mornings. Excited. Yes, I survived the NHL trade deadline, but I'll tell you who didn't. My co-host on Seahawks Sessions, Daniel Smooth, was not happy with what the New York Islanders did at the deadline. And we got into another trade that you and I are probably going to discuss on this show. There's some football happenings, even though it's the off season. There's always news in the NFL, but I am thrilled to be here with you this morning, sir. I am bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. How are you today?
I'm equally as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Just this week was a busy week for me. I just went on some hopefully good news about some stuff outside of the podcast. So
you'll have to tell me post-show.
I will tell you post-show. But in the meantime, we're here to talk about, here's what's on today's agenda for the Saturday brunch. We're going to talk about parts 1 and 2 of Charlie Hustle in the case of Pete Rose. That's from it's an HBO sports documentary that was released last year. Pete Rose passed away around the same time it was released. So it's just lots of details. We're talking about the movement, all sorts of movement in the NFL that happened this week. I've got a little bit of a thing with the with AF1, with Arena Football 1. Kickoff starts in a couple weeks, but there's some happenings that happened this week that weren't very great, and I've got some things to say.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about our favorite athlete to wear the number. What number are we on?
17?
17.
I was going to say, I hope it's 17 because that's what I was.
I put 18. I'm an idiot. I put 18 in the description on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, but that's okay. That's okay. It's live. We're live on the No Credentials Required YouTube channel now, but this will be released on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel a little bit later. But the audio will be on the YouTube channel when the podcast is published, or the podcasts are published. Around 12:30 this afternoon. So we hope you tune in. But in the meantime, we just want to remind you, speaking of social channels, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And also check out our other podcasts and written articles on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and the aforementioned YouTube channel. And also, please go ahead, hit that notification bell. Get that notification. That way you know when show announcements go up, when new video clips go up, anything related to the show, hit that subscribe button. And also, when we go live. So hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're notified. Make sure you're notified so you can tune in and comment. On the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating would be helpful. A review would be helpful if you're on a platform where you can leave a review. On Spotify, leave a comment. That way you know that you're paying attention to the show and you're subscribed to the show. And we're a live show Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern for the Saturday brunch edition, although we're a little bit late today. That's okay. Things happen. And we're on Tuesdays, currently Tuesdays at 6:30. But after Dustin's bowling league ends, we're moving it to Mondays. Time to be announced. So stay tuned for that. And we want you to participate. This is a live show. We love participation. We love that people participate in the show. It drives the algorithm. It drives viewership. So I've been missing this sound for the last couple of days, but My watch is my non-existent watch is telling me something.
Yeah, I believe it's chime time.
It is chime time. And I just realized, because the hot food takes bumper is right above the chime, we forgot to do a hot food takes.
Oh man, yeah, this week
because this week was just so crazy with the fire hose of news coming out of the NFL, and the NFL trade deadline, and things happening elsewhere.
Yes,
we forgot to do
life stuff. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I had one that was pretty unreliable, but let's save it. Let's save it.
We'll save the burger. Okay, let's save it for next week. Yeah.
yeah. Because I don't know if I would have to check in with you to see if you even partake in what I was going to throw out there. So,
all right, we'll save it then. We'll save it for another time then. So, hot food takes is off the table this week. So continental breakfast this morning. All right.
Yes, continental breakfast. So we'll do a little
cereals.
Mini.
Yes, cereals, bagels, toast.
yeah. They got the waffle maker in the back sometimes if you're lucky.
Oh, waffle maker's broken. I checked.
Oh, no.
This hotel sucks.
Yeah, but I will, just a little impromptu one, and I'm sorry if we already did this, but I have to get your opinion now, because Kevin gave a little shout out to our show last night. He was on Seahawks Sessions, and during the meandering road that was Seahawks Sessions, if you want to listen to three guys jump all over the place, go tune into that on the Time to BS feed with Daniel Smooth. But he said, hard or soft taco shell? Hard or soft taco shell? I'll give you time to pontificate. I'll tell you what I said. I said that if you had asked me this when I was a kid, I'm hard taco all the way when I was a kid. But as I've gotten older, I much more prefer the soft taco shell now. That's my go-to, with one exception. If we're talking Doritos Locos Tacos, I'm getting a hard shell, and I'm getting that nacho.
All right. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. When I was a kid, we didn't have soft tacos when we were a kid. When we were kids growing up, my mom.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing until I became an adult, where it's like soft shell tacos. I'm like, what the freaking soft shell tacos? Then I discovered it, and I'm like, soft shell tacos.
Yeah. No, they're good. Yeah. They're good. A little side question too. Corn or flour tortillas?
Flour. Corn is garbage.
Flour. Yeah.
Corn is garbage.
Yeah, corn's not good. You can make good homemade tortilla chips with the corn ones.
Yes.
But that's about all they're good for, in my opinion. I know a bunch of people are going to be in the comments. They're going to tell me the corn ones are authentic. I'm sorry. I'm a flour boy.
I'm a flower boy. I don't know. Copyright, Ryan. Copyright. Yeah, I mean, flour for me. You know what's low key good breakfast?
What's that?
Low key good breakfast are the soft shell tortillas. With some hard boiled eggs. What you do is that you tear the tortilla in half.
Okay.
Get yourself a hard boiled egg. Wrap it in the tortilla. Boom. You got your carbs. You got your proteins. It's a hearty breakfast. It's a healthy, hearty breakfast.
And it's a quick grab and go. I like that. I like that.
It is. I actually have a story for you when it comes to hard boiled eggs.
No.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, we got this. Is actually, you know what? Let's bring it up.
Yeah, we kind of morphed it in.
There we go.
We kind of morphed it in. Thank you again, Kevin. Thank you again.
Thanks, Kevin. He was the inspiration for hot food takes.
And he saved us this week with his question and shout out last night on Seahawks Sessions. Thank you again, Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. If you're watching, listening, we're hoping you tuning in. So I was trying to save money, right? This is back about 15 years ago. I was trying to get out of debt. I was making sure I was, I didn't want to buy breakfast every day, because I'd go to my sandwich guy, Russell, down the street right down the road. And I was trying to save myself some money. So I figured, all right, let's boil some hard-boiled eggs. I'll bring them to work. I'll eat them at my desk. Not a problem. Forgetting that one of my coworkers was pregnant.
Oh.
And I started eating my hard-boiled eggs at my desk, trying to be a good boy. And all of a sudden, and she's pregnant at the time. My friend Lisa, shout out Lisa. Lisa, one of my favorite coworkers of all time. She stands up and she's about. I'm in. Let's say so. Is a we're row of cubicles. I'm the third one up from the window. She's in the back. She's in the back on the left hand side. So she's 2 cubicles back on the left hand side.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she stands up. She goes, "Who the hell is eating hard-boiled eggs?" I took my hard-boiled eggs and I ran to the atrium. There was one person you did not want to mess with. It was Lisa.
Oh man.
She's a fireball, man. She was one of my favorite coworkers, but if you got on the wrong side of her, she would rip you a new one. And
man.
And not only was she one of those types she would deal you a new one, she was also pregnant at the time. Yeah. So I did not want to piss off a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
And make her throw up in her waste paper basket. So I just hustled out. I hustled out to the atrium. I shoved those eggs down.
Oh man.
And I went back to my desk trying to hide the evidence.
Oh man, you probably didn't feel too good after that either.
But actually, I admitted to her a little bit later. I'm like, Lisa, I'm really sorry that I was eating hard-boiled eggs at my desk. She goes, "That was you?" I go, "Yeah," and she just busts out laughing. She goes, "I am so sorry that I yelled at you. I didn't mean to yell on purpose. I was just I'm pregnant and this and that." And I'm just like, "Lisa, it's okay. This will be a great story someday." And it is.
Yeah, here we are. Here we are.
I have to clip that and maybe send that to her just to say, remember this, remember that. She'll always remember that story too. It's hysterical. But yeah, she was one of my favorite coworkers, and that's a great story about her. Yeah, so soft shell tacos all the way. Flour tortillas all the way.
Yeah,
because they make better burritos too.
Yeah,
because you don't want a corn tortilla in your burrito.
No, they break apart. Yeah, they don't. This is one of the hot food takes where we just agree across the board. I'll still eat a hard shell taco. Everyone, I'll still eat one. And like I said, Doritos Locos tacos, forget it. I'm getting, Staniel was like, I might order some Taco Bell last night, and that's what spurred this conversation.
No. So, my God, he's in his 20s though. He's got time to learn that Taco Bell is not great.
I'll still eat it once in a while. Every once in a while, you get a craving for it. You get after it.
I was never a fan. Although recently, I say over the past, I think it's the last few months or so, the Taco Bell KFC combo store in Malta broke apart. So now it's a Taco Bell and a KFC individually now.
Oh man,
because they started separating the stores. They started separating the two brands. So because they're owned by the same company, Yum Brands.
Yeah, Yum exclamation point, right? And then and they're exclusively Pepsi products, right?
Yes, they own KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
and they're all Pepsi brands.
Isn't that Yum company like a subsidiary of Pepsi? I think there's something with that. Like
you know what? Real-time research.
It's an unholy marriage,
Depending on who you ask. Yep. Yum.
Yeah.
Brands is an American multinational fast food corporation. It's a spinoff of PepsiCo after they acquired KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. PepsiCo divested the brands in 1997, and these consolidated as Yum. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yes, I still remember when Pizza Hut was Coke. I still remember the red glasses after Little League games.
Yep.
I miss it.
And that has been this impromptu edition of Hot Food Takes.
We got to see the bouncing bun this week. We didn't think we would, but we did.
We're live, folks. We're live.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to our main topic of discussion for the Saturday brunch. We're going to review Charlie Hustle and the Case of Pete Rose, episodes 1 and 2. Full admission, I watched episode 1 last night after I got home from having a couple of Steve Weisers with a friend of mine, my friend
All
Steve.
right.
That's what I call him. That's why they called Steve Weisers. And I watched part 1 last night. And I watched part 2 this morning before the show. That's why I was running a little bit late, because I had breakfast and I had watched that, and I had to get my coffee because I ran out of Invader coffee. We'll talk about that in the break. But this was I was kind of curious to see where this docuseries would go. Yeah. Interestingly enough, it's produced by J.J. Abrams, which I didn't know it was produced by J.J. Abrams. I know J.J. Abrams from because I saw Bad Robot production. I'm going, Bad Robot? What do they have to do with baseball? I guess apparently J.J. Abrams is a big baseball fan. So,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's and I'll look up J.J. Abrams Sports. Let's see what he's doing here.
Yeah, let's see if there's more. I did not catch that. So as usual, you have a more observant eye than me. But while you're researching, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts, because I'm excited to watch episodes 3 and 4.
Yes.
And see where they take it. And anybody that is listening, watching, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching live, listening, etc., we're going to be reviewing episodes 3 and 4 on Tuesday. So you got the weekend. You got the weekend to watch with us and play a little catch up if you want to watch 1 and 2, which I would recommend. So yeah, we're about to dive into it. But what did you find out?
I didn't really find out much.
Okay.
It's Gemini AI. Google's AI Gemini said he has no involvement in sports, but it's like, but Bad Robot produced the docuseries. I'm all sorts of confused. But like I said, I don't know if he's a big sports fan. I don't know if he's a big baseball fan. Mm-hmm. It might be the reason why Bad Robot produced it. But yeah, I mean, we'll find out. I mean, I'll find out soon more enough. But yeah, let's talk about this. So Dustin, let's hear your thoughts about. Let's start with episode 1.
Okay, so I thought, because I have to preface this, okay, I remember Pete Rose more as a manager than as a player. I never got to see Pete Rose play. I've only seen the highlights. I've only seen.
This face is not for you, by the way. This case is about J.J. Abrams. But go ahead.
All right, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I've only seen highlights of him as a player, and everybody knows the Ray Fosse story and things like that. But I thought what they did a great job of, there's some things that I didn't know. So the main thing that I took away from episode 1 is they do a good job, a very good job actually, of setting up the unreliability of Pete Rose as a narrator of his own story. Mm-hmm. Okay, so but they come right out in the opening sequence of episode 1 and they show his stats. And if you just look at the stats, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Pete Rose as a person. We will get into this as because I think the documentary, like, it hangs over. There's parts of the documentary where you empathize with Pete Rose, and then they show a dichotomy where he does something and you're just kind of like, ugh. He does or says something and that's the push and pull of this documentary, at least for me so far. But they do a great job of setting up his unreliability as a narrator. The Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford story that he tells of how he was nicknamed Charlie Hustle. And they're like, he was like, they respected me. Did you see how Charlie Hustle beat us today? That's what they said. And then they cut to a reporter who was like, no, they were mocking him because the ball's going. Yeah, because
look, Charlie Hustle out here trying to showboat us in spring training.
Yeah, because the ball's going, the ball's already out of the park, and Pete Rose jumped up the wall to try to get it. They were mocking him. That story, and then the Pete the monkey story. Like they
I love that story.
Yeah, they keep like, the one lady's like, he told me that someone in his family had a monkey, and
Leslie Visser.
It was Pete, and you know, and so then I forget who he told Leslie Visser had the monkey, but then he's like, "Oh yeah, my grandma did, but you didn't want to get close to that monkey. It would, you know, it would go crazy on you. It would bite you if you got too close to it." And then he's like, "But it was good. It was good." You know, so it's just like, what is the you start to wonder if Pete Rose even knows what reality is anymore. So that was over. But again, I kept trying to go back to the stats at the beginning. And you said it before, Ryan. It's not the person Hall of Fame. It is the baseball Hall of Fame. And by his stats, and he'll tell you, he'll be the first to tell you, believe me, that's part of what rubs me a little bit the wrong way about Pete Rose. He'll tell you, but he belongs in the Hall of Fame based on the stats. But the other thing that episode 1 did for me that I really didn't know, because like I said, I didn't get to watch him play. I just remember him as a manager when he was managing the Reds and everything blew up. You know, I remember all that stuff. I did not realize the Big Red Machine is widely considered to be one of the greatest baseball teams of all time. But I didn't realize that they kind of had their struggle to get over the hump at first. I thought the documentary went in, did a good job of setting that up, and also by proxy showing Pete Rose's impact and the Reds team. Obviously, the Reds team. I'm not trying to overinflate Rose's importance here, but he is the focus of this documentary.
Right.
His relationship to Cincinnati is kind of like Barry Bonds in San Francisco. You talk to anybody in San Francisco, Barry Bonds is beloved. You talk to people outside of San Francisco, completely different relationship for the majority of people. And I had some of those same feelings as they were setting everything up. And they were interviewing Marty Brennaman and others in this documentary. Pete Rose in Cincinnati, he's beloved. He gets a hall pass. You talk to people outside of Cincinnati, some people have a different feeling about Pete Rose. But so I thought they did a great job, and then they started to set up where he had a lawyer working on his behalf to try to meet with Major League Baseball about getting him in the Hall of Fame. But for me, the biggest theme that emerged through episode 1 and 2, which we'll get to in a second here once I stop talking and let you jump in, is the push-pull between, yes, I know he belongs in the Hall of Fame, and, oh, I'm starting to connect with Pete Rose and empathize with him, and then he does something, and you're just like, ugh. Like, I thought they did a great job of showing, like, the roast that he was at in Cincinnati or the benefits. And they cut to people in the crowd after he would say certain things, and you had people laughing, but you had some people that looked like, like a little disgusted too. So I think some people were,
that's what happens in a roast.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what happens. But it just, no, I thought it was making me realize that, okay, I'm not the only one that has this dichotomy about Pete Rose. Like you start to buy in, and but I want to get your thoughts, because I've talked about episode 1 ad nauseum now.
All right, so episode 1, I'm comparing this to I'm making a kind of an unfair comparison here. I think they were trying to stylize it like The Last Dance.
Okay.
So if you remember The Last Dance is all about Michael Jordan, the Bulls' last dance in 1998, the Bulls dynasty in the 1990s, one of the greatest NBA dynasties, hell, one of the greatest sports dynasties that I can remember in my generation, in our generation, actually, because we grew up around the same era.
Yeah.
Although you're a bit younger than me, but there's some things I remember more than you remember because I'm older.
Yeah, you were a touch older than me. Yeah, you were around.
But I think they're trying to stylize it in that fashion, especially in the first 2 episodes. Episode 1, yes, we had Pete the Monkey, which was That's why I laughed out loud, because I'm like, Pete the Monkey.
Yeah, I
That's what they
know.
remember from the doc. And I like the fact that after they kind of end things, like the end credit, before the end credits, they had the little like blooper reel or outtake reel, and that's we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, part one, you're kind of setting the scene. It's like, all right, he talked about his career starting out in 1961, I want to say.
I think something like that. Yeah. Because
Hold on,
that
we'll
was,
do
I was surprised, I was surprised that he started that early. I mean, it makes sense, but he got
1963. Well, his baseball career started in 1961.
Yeah.
But he didn't go to the major leagues until 1963. So, yeah, it started his career, and kind of things kind of intertwine with the gambling scandals that he had. But most of the emphasis was on his early days as a baseball player and how much here's one thing you can't deny about Pete Rose. He loves the game of baseball.
Oh
Or
yeah.
he loved the game of baseball, I should say, because now he has since passed.
Yes.
Passed away on September 30th. But that's the one thing you can't deny about him, is that he loves this game. And you could see it. You could tell by the interviews he was doing, by the way he talked about the game, talked about his career. He loved baseball. He loved the game.
Yep.
And one of the things that I'm not sure I think it was one of his ex-teammates, who says the one thing that Pete was not necessarily was addicted to wasn't necessarily the gambling. It was the action. It was action, because he just needed to feel like he was in the action at all times. That's why he developed that gambling habit. Betting on football, betting on the ponies, betting on the puppies. We're talking about greyhounds, folks, not Jerry Lawler.
Yeah. But Pete Rose, we'll get into it. In episode 2, he does talk about some Jerry Lawlers, and that was one of the most cringy moments in the whole thing.
Yeah. So episode 1, it's just setting up things for down the road.
Yep.
Episode 2, you start to get into the Reds teams of the 70s and how dominant they were. They bring in George Foster. They bring in Joe Morgan.
Yes.
They develop Dave Concepcion and Tony Perez.
Yep. And Griffey Sr. on that team.
Ken Griffey Sr. was on those teams. You start to see, and Johnny Bench. I can't forget him. I can't forget Johnny Bench.
You can't.
And it's funny that you see a clip of Johnny Bench being asked about Pete Rose, why Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, and it cuts to a black of and the letters on the screen. Johnny Bench declined to be interviewed for this documentary.
And for what it's worth, a couple quick notes about Johnny Bench. One, Johnny Bench, my mother's favorite baseball player of all time. Mom loved Johnny Bench. But the other thing is, a former coworker of mine used to work at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And I asked her one time, I said, what are the most memorable interactions that you've ever had with a baseball player? Because she got to meet a fair bunch. And she said, most everybody I ever dealt with was extremely nice. She said, with one notable exception, he was a huge a-hole, Johnny Bench. So it's that's
it's funny. Like I watch interviews with him. I see commercials, and I'm like, something ain't right about this guy. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that he's the one person he didn't want to interview. I guess he must hate Pete Rose with a white hot burning passion.
Oh yeah, probably. And
of 1,000 suns.
And you could even Pete said himself, he's not a fan of Johnny Bench as a person, but he admitted that they needed Johnny there, and Johnny was instrumental. And I think, who was it, Ryan? Was it Brenneman that said you had 2 extreme alpha dogs, and they were fighting for control of the team?
Yeah, it was Marty Brenneman. Yeah.
Yep.
Marty, and he's got 2. Tom Brenneman, his son, who was yeeted into the sun after his mistake with the in the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
And Castellanos hits in deep right field.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Marty Brenneman just said, yeah, you got two alpha dogs competing to be the leader of the team. But when they went in the field, those egos got put aside. It was all about the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they were so successful for so long in the 1970s. And they get to part 2. And towards the end of part 2, the first World Series win in 75. And it's interesting that yes, he makes a good point in saying the only clip you really see out of the 75 World Series is Carlton Fisk's home run.
Yeah.
That's what the 75 World Series is known for.
Yep.
But people forget that was in Game 6.
Yeah.
They still had to play Game 7.
Yeah, the Reds won that. I think it was Ken Griffey Sr. who, shout out to Sr.
Yeah.
He's looking great, man.
Show.
Audio. There we go. My audio is losing connection for some reason. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, good. Griffey is looking great, but he said you can't win in Game 6. You can't win the series in 6. He said we came back and won that series, and people forget about that. And he's right. Even I had forgotten about it because Ryan, you and I grew up. That Fisk clip is in every like baseball highlight show or summary or whatever. They use it in the intro.
Yeah, it was part of This Week. It was part of This Week in Baseball for forever when I was growing up.
Yeah.
With Mel Allen as the voice of This Week in Baseball. How about that? Legendary Yankees broadcaster. But yeah, it was funny that they talked about Game 6 and Sparky Anderson's ripping them a new one. Sparky Anderson looked 80 years old even in 1976. But he said, you call yourselves, what kind of, you guys waste that effort. You call yourselves the Big Red Machine. Actually, they didn't call themselves the Big Red Machine.
Yeah.
People were calling them the Big Red Machine. But it's interesting that I'm wearing red today.
Yeah, it's almost like you coordinated it.
And then Pete said, Sparky, Game 7's tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they spotted him, and they spotted the Red Sox a 3-run lead. Then he breaks up that double play that starts the rally, and I think they scored the next 6 runs. I think it was.
Yeah.
To win that series. So then they go on and beat the pants off the Yankees in 76.
Yeah, that was a sweep. Jeez.
Yeah, that was definitely a sweep. And it definitely crushed the Yankees. But the Yankees got 2 titles, the next 2 titles, so it's okay.
Right.
And let's talk about his hitting streak in 77. That 44. He tied actually the National League consecutive hit streak. And then he talks about his time on Fox Baseball, Major League Baseball on Fox, and how interesting of a move that was at the time. And then all the allegations come out with underage girls, and you're like,
yeah,
okay. I'm not going to defend Pete Rose here. I'm not going to, and like scumbag behavior. Yeah. Let's just put it out there. Yeah, especially if it's extramarital. Yeah. I'm sorry. If it's extramarital, that's double scumbag time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's weird. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because it's a controversial topic, but if you watch the documentary for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
please.
I don't like the way he tried to defend himself either. Mm-hmm. Like he tried to justify and rationalize his behavior. And it's like, no. And he even tried to defend himself too. It's like, my wife was with me in spring training.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he just dropped it.
But then he's like, but the girl was 16. And it's like, that's still legal. Like, it's still not great, Pete. Not great. Even if it was true, like, mm-hmm. Now this kind of thing, people's memories aren't always crisp. Pete Rose is too. The girls could have been the girl who made the accusation. Her memory might not be as crisp either. Mm-hmm. So I'm not defending Pete Rose, but let's. I mean, the case was dismissed, and he tried to attend the court while he's with Fox Sports, which wasn't a great look. So they said, "Listen, Pete, this is not a good look for us. and this is especially in the time of Me Too, where everybody's getting accused.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? It's just better that we got to let you go.
Yeah.
We got to let you go.
Yeah, and it goes to show, like you said, Ryan, we're not going to deep dive into that. That's a topic that I don't think a lot of people want to discuss, and it's disgusting. But and everyone will try to rationalize their behavior at some point. I've been guilty of it for sure.
Yep, same.
It's human nature to try to do that, but it just is another thing of painting the dichotomy and setting up the conflict with, yes, the hard evidence, he should be in the Hall of Fame. The stats are right there. But then you just keep, oh man, they keep ticking off boxes. And this, you got to keep in mind too, because episode 2, they get into his son, Pete Rose Jr. and 2,000 hits in the minors, but he never really made it. And Pete admits, he said, that's because of me. That's because of me. I got in trouble, and he was kind of excommunicated because of that. But how about that?
He suffered the ramifications.
Yeah, yeah. And how about that? How about that locker room? The Reds locker room. You got Eduardo Perez running around. You got Pete Rose Jr. and one other notable junior running around that locker room.
And I love the fact that they set up the rules. Sparky Anderson made, because this is the thing. This is the difference between the Cincinnati Reds and the New York Yankees. Because I remember Ken Griffey Jr. saying, "I will never play for the New York Yankees because of Billy Martin."
Yep.
Because Billy Martin didn't allow kids in the locker in the dugout or the locker room.
Yep.
But Sparky Anderson said, "Okay, kids, we got some rules for you. You guys are allowed in the locker room if we win. If we lose, we're not going to allow you in the locker room." And they fully understood. And then he had Eduardo Perez saying, they won a lot.
Yeah, he said, luckily in the 70s, the Reds won a lot. But there's a moment for me, and I almost don't want to shout it out, but it just continues to illustrate the point, and I'll be interested to see if it carries over into episodes 3 and 4. And also with the hindsight of, we know Pete Rose passes away after this. We know he talks openly. If they let me in after I pass away, what's the point? Because I'm not here to enjoy it, basically, is what he said. And he kind of said, if I remember correctly, he said something like, I don't want it to happen like that, but there's a moment, and I think it was Marty Brenneman's wife. She comes to say hello to Pete Rose, and Brenneman's there. And Pete Rose says, quote unquote, keep in mind, I'm quoting Pete Rose here. He says, quote unquote, still got them jugs. And his wife, Brenneman's wife, has to sit there and take it. It makes for an incredibly awkward moment. I think she handles it the best she can handle it. But keep in mind, too, Pete Rose knew he was being filmed during this. He knew cameras were there, and he still said that. It makes me wonder what he said when the cameras were off, what footage got cut, and it just shows the dichotomy. But also they do a good job of painting the narrative of how Pete Rose, people identified with him. People felt like he was a man of the people. People really gravitated towards Pete. So you have all these different factors, and it was just, for me, it was a lot to unpack. I found it very interesting. Like you said, I don't think this is as good as The Last Dance. The Last Dance is the new benchmark for documentaries, as far as I'm concerned.
For sports documentaries, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this falls short of that, but a lot of things are going to fall short of that. Yeah, I'm still enjoying this.
I'm enjoying this too, and it's going to get darker. I think I'm going to predict it's going to get darker as we go along. And I looked at the release date of this documentary. It was July 4th, 2024. So it was 2 months before he passed on.
Independence Day. Wow.
24th.
Oh, 24th. Man, I
don't know whose Independence Day you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I thought you said July 4th, 2024, and I was like, oh, man.
No.
Which July would 24th. Be a perfect, because I mean, July 4th, that feels like a baseball day. If anything is a baseball day, I mean, come on.
It is a baseball day. Actually, July 4th is on a Friday this year.
Oh, we're going to get after it.
Oh, we got to get after it.
3-day weekend, Ryan, barbecue and beers.
Hold on a second. I want to take a look here at the Yankee schedule, because I'm feeling a game if they're at home. Come on, March.
Whoa,
April,
big gust of wind
May.
out there.
Yeah, it's very windy upstate New York. Oh, Subway Series is that weekend at Citi Field.
Oh man, I've never been to Citi Field. Have you?
I have not either. I have been to Shea. I had been to Shea twice for Yankees Mets tilts. They split them though. They split them. So they lost the first one. Yankees lost the first one, but they won the second one, which was nice.
There we go. Got it back.
Shout out to my former coworker Johanna, who was there with me for both those games. It was fun. Those are fun games.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Like towards the end of the outtakes of episode 2, and he asked, and he's curious to ask because we always see documentaries and we see reality shows, and they put people in a certain light, like the hero, the villain, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And he asks, and actually, I give credit to him for asking this. Mm-hmm. He asks, what kind of a documentary series is going to be? What kind of a light are you going to paint me in? And the guy who's interviewing him, I suspect he's the producer. He says, well, we're going to paint you. We're going to see how Pete Rose is on a day-to-day basis, how you put your pants on. He says, well, I don't wear underwear. And the producer says, yep, that's it. I'm out of here. That's it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if he said it jokingly or he was serious, but
yeah.
But it was a funny moment. That was a funny moment there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna take our network mandated commercial break. But when we come back, we got lots of NFL movements to talk about. I'm gonna touch brief on the Arena Football 1 situation, and we'll talk about our favorite athletes to wear. The number 17. Yes. We're gonna take a quick. We'll take a quick commercial break. Stand by and stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. All right, Invader Coffee. I don't have Invader Coffee this morning because I ran out, but it's on its way. Dustin has his though. What flavor are you drinking?
I am drinking Cookie Crumble because I still have it left. And I have been alternating between Donut Dealer, which, Ryan, you said you bought a bag. Have you had Donut Dealer yet?
I have had Donut Dealer before. It is delightful. And on last week's program, I said that I would, in addition to buying my next pound of coffee, I'd also buy a bag that they will give to a veteran. And here's your proof.
Nice.
Donut Dealer, one Donut Dealer whole bean. It's on its way. And buy a bag of coffee for a deployed military member. That's on its way too. So I'm a man of my word. I stick to my word. Promises made, promises kept.
Yes. And I will also do that the next time that I need to refill my Invader Coffee stock. Right now, I have a couple bags, so it might be a minute, but I will do that as well. And be like Ryan, everybody. Did you notice he used the promo code there?
Yes.
Belly Up for 15% off the order. Do that. Use our affiliate link. There's great flavors of coffee. They have a couple K-cup varieties. I'm going to get some for the office. I like to keep it in my drawer, little private stash for when I need a little pick-me-up. And, I have tried a number of flavors of Invader Coffee, and I've liked them all. And I'm not just saying that. I have been pleasantly surprised by each flavor. This coffee doesn't have the bitterness. In my opinion, they do the flavor just right. If you get like the Cookie Crumble, it's a snickerdoodle flavor, but the snickerdoodle does not overwhelm the coffee. You still get the coffee in there. They've been a long time sponsor of the show. I was drinking it before I became a part of this show. Can't say enough good things about Invader Coffee.
Yeah, and in regards to the buying a bag for a deployed military member, they work with an organization called Move America Forward, which was established in 2004. They help out with veterans. It's a nonprofit charity, which is great. They support frontline troops serving around the globe, and I'm happy to have donated a bag. So great job, Invader Coffee. Again, they're a veteran owned organization as well. So they're going to help out those who are actively serving. And this is a great coffee company, and we're drinkers of Invader Coffee. I tried out Invader Coffee before. I brought them on as an affiliate sponsor, and it's a great blend. They always have great blends. Nice, smooth coffee, low acidity. That way you don't have to put all that junk in your coffee like cream and sugar. You can just drink it black, and it's delicious. And in addition to all the different blends they also have cold brew coffee. They can buy in individual cans, or you can buy a case of 12. You get the K cups, as Dustin mentioned. So yeah, go to the affiliate link in the description. Support our show. Support a great company too. And also get some money off your order with 15% off by using promo code BELLYUP. They're affiliate with BellyUp Sports as well. So check it out, invadercoffee.com. It's fantastic stuff. Like most of all the products on this program, it gets the no credentials required seal of approval.
The yawn is always perfect there. The yawn he's got going. It's I love it.
We get some comments in the comments section from our friend of the show, Playmaker, saying, "Morning, no creds, bro. It's been a minute. Hope your fellas are doing great." He's just dropping in while taking a quick break at work. Yeah, we appreciate you stopping by, Playmaker.
Yeah, and Playmaker,
you're just in time too for some NFL news too.
Yeah, for sure. Which I'd love to get your thoughts sometime on the trade that the Seahawks just pulled, and also congratulations on the success of Ramily Talk. Talk,
and for keeping Matt Stafford and confusing one Colin Cowherd. I won't talk about it.
You really are getting after him for that. I love it. It's a reoccurring theme. This is like the 4th show you've mentioned it.
I don't hate the guy, but it's just like, why?
Yeah, sometimes people get desperate, trying to. I mean, it's got to be hard to come up with content every day, but we do it twice a week. We're still hanging on.
Yeah, that's right. Right, Colin Cowherd. All right, NFL player movement before free agency. We had a lot of stuff. We had a lot of player movement happening. Actually, Dustin, I do have some breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that breaking news?
Ooh.
Where are you?
It's a great bumper.
There you are. All right, breaking news. This is not actually. I shouldn't be dancing because this is not great news.
Oh no!
This is from Will Kunkel of Fox 26 Houston, who tweeted this morning that Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy was arrested on Friday night in Williamson County, Texas, on charges of criminal charges of assault against a family or household member, breathing or circulation.
Wow.
This is the second year in a row that a standout wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten into legal trouble. Rashee Rice, here got himself some legal trouble in Texas, and now Xavier Worthy is now being brought up on charges of bad things. So this is just a bad. Now it's still young. This is still young. This news is still fresh. It's as of 9:39 a.m. Eastern, so it's about an hour and a half old. So it's still developing, but like this is just crazy stuff.
Yeah. That's the, and not to bring it into the football realm, and kind of disregard all the legal things, but me as a Seahawk fan, I have to wonder because I don't know if you heard, but the Seahawks, DK Metcalf put out a trade request, and there has been interest from the Kansas City Chiefs in the past. With this news, Who's the Chiefs' number one receiver? They already lost Rice last year because of his troubles and then his injury. And now Xavier Worthy, who emerged as their number one, he obviously, this is still developing. We have to see what's going to happen with this. But part of me wonders, does this ramp up the DK Metcalf trade talks? I mean, we got into it a little bit last night on Seahawks Sessions, but I thought that the Seahawks were bidding high. I thought that their asking price, their reported asking price, is a first-round pick and a third-round pick. And I said, that's too high. DK's 27 years old. But the wide receiver market, I mean, Deebo Samuel was traded to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. And Christian Kirk was acquired for a pick lower than that. So the wide receiver market has kind of been established, but so I thought that the Seahawks were bidding high with DK Metcalf. They were making an offer an asking price for DK that no one will come forward and grab. But that way the Seahawks can say, hey, we tried to honor your request. We didn't get a trade partner. So here you are. Staniel's in the camp. He thinks DK is going to get an extension. I think Kevin agreed probably too that DK was going to get an extension, but this news has some impact. And again, I'm looking only at the football side of it. Do the Chiefs go out now and try to acquire DK Metcalf? I hope not. I don't want that to happen because I would like DK to stay in Seattle. But this news, we'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, this is a problem for the Chiefs for sure.
Yeah, this is a big problem. Hopefully, it's a touchy situation.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's why
getting legal. All these guys, like after the Super Bowl, getting in legal trouble. It's crazy. So
yeah,
it's it's young. It's less than 2 hours old too. So we gotta make sure things develop. And there was a I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was just news I just wanted to share on the show. But there's more player movement before free agency. We had a lot of trade requests, releases happening. Also extensions. Max Crosby now is the highest paid non-quarterback player in league history with a crazy extension of
3 years, right?
3 years, $106.5 million with a $91.5 million guarantee. Max Crosby. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, congratulations. He is the face of the Raiders. He personifies their team perfectly. And supposedly, again, I don't want to keep bringing it up, but we talked about some of this stuff on Seahawks Sessions last night. Supposedly, Seattle was trying to get the Raiders as part of this Geno Smith trade, which we will get to. They tried to put together a package to acquire Max Crosby, and the Raiders, this was prior to the extension. Reportedly, the Raiders politely said, no, thank you. So which I don't blame them for that.
No. So he was about to make 2 years and 40. He had 2 years, 2.8 million remaining on his previous contract. So this is according to Spot Track. So he's now in the books for 5 years, 149.3 million through 2029, 91.5 million guaranteed and this is what they said in the tweet, for practical purposes. I don't know what that means. Maybe it was just an editorial. This is a massive statement in Las Vegas. Yeah, it is a massive statement because he's the best player. He's currently the best player on your team.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now. And he showed that he's been the best player on your team for the last 3 seasons. Not just on defense, but on offense, but not just overall.
Yeah. Overall. On the entire Raiders team. And he's a Pete Carroll player. He's the type of player that Pete Carroll wants. So, Pete coming in there, and also, Tom Brady's influence for what it's worth. They're trying to build their own identity down there in Oakland and or in I do it all the time still in Vegas. And we'll have to see what other chips fall because Tyler Lockett was released. And does Pete Carroll go and try to get Tyler Lockett? Because by all accounts, he still wants to play. Shout out to my favorite number 16 from last week. Appreciate everything you did, Tyler.
Yeah.
Second all time behind Steve Largent in most Seahawks receiving stats. Anytime you're doing that, you're doing something special. So,
yeah, and Playmaker in the chat saying Raiders got the quarterback for the now.
Yeah.
And he also says, don't be alarmed if Devontae Adams is linked to the Rams. I think I saw a tweet saying that he wants to play for either the Rams, the Chargers. I can't remember the third team.
Oh, could you imagine him on the Chargers, though, across from Lad McConkey? I think that'd be good for them.
They've got the cap space.
Yeah.
They got the cap space to do it. So that's a surprising thing. So is that they have all this cap space. And let's see. There's a tweet from Mike Garofalo. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. So the Jets pick that pick that went to Seattle for Geno Smith.
Yeah, the third rounder
originally belonged to the Jets.
Okay.
So it's Devontae Adams could go anywhere. I wouldn't be shocked if he winds up in California because that's where he's from.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. He could want to, kind of return home in a way, and he's going to want a good quarterback to get him the ball, though. I mean, he played with, to put it politely, subpar quarterbacks in Vegas / Oakland for his years there, So, I mean, no disrespect to Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is better. Derek Carr gets a lot of garbage. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about him, but I'm not necessarily talking to it. But Devontae Adams had Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball, AOC, a couple other quarterbacks, Aiden O'Connell there.
Yeah. Yeah. Other player movement or rumored to or news of player movement. Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. He has been surprisingly allowed to seek a trade.
Yes, that is what I was thinking of before the show. You reminded me, and I was about to say Mike Brown cheap again.
They could be clearing cap space to keep T. Higgins for a big extension, which is why he's been allowed to seek a trade and why they released Alex Kappa for no apparent reason this past week too.
Yeah,
they're going to be missing a couple of key players next year, and I don't know that Cincinnati's got some players in mind for the draft or they're going to make some trades. But if they tag T. Higgins again, but then they can, I believe they can extend him or extend his contract further, or they'll do a sign and trade with somebody else.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it seems like a lot of teams are gearing up for something. We just don't know what it is. I mean, even to use again my Seattle Seahawks, they now have the 7th most amount of cap space in the league, and they did that from a negative balance previously. Partially the Geno Smith deal clears some cap space. They restructured Uchenna Nwosu's deal, cleared some cap space. So there are teams, and the Seahawks are far from the only ones doing this. Teams are gearing up for moves. We just don't know what they're going to be yet. A couple of things have happened. The Tyler Lockett release clears some cap space. So this is going to be an entertaining offseason, I think. We've already had a lot of news, which we're going to continue to get into here.
Yeah. So here's the cap space currently for all these teams. So New England, $125 million in cap space still available. Washington still has $93.8 million in cap space available. That's
crazy.
Even with the Deebo Samuel trade.
Yeah.
And they take on that contract, they still have $93 million in cap space. I mean,
part of it is from his full contract.
I mean, part of it is Jonathan Allen being released because he wanted to seek a trade. They couldn't find a trade partner, so they just released him. So his contract's off the books. LA Chargers, $93.8 million. Arizona, $77 million. Pittsburgh, $63 million. Minnesota, $63 million. Tennessee, Seattle, $62 million in cap space now.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, the Rams, which I thought had I remember for the last couple of years they've been the negatives, but they have $55 million in cap space to play with, so they could certainly re-sign. They could certainly sign a guy like Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Although
yeah.
I suspect be on a minimum, not a minimum deal, but it could be on a fairly cap friendly deal.
Yeah, it would have to be because he's not. Devontae's still very good. I think he
Yes.
showed that when he was not injured with the Jets. Still has his moments, but he can't command the high dollar deal that he once did, at least in my opinion.
No, and I think he turned 30 during the season last year.
Ah, okay.
So continuing on, Cincinnati, the Raiders, the Lions, Dallas, the Giants, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, Denver. The Jets are now $39 million. Have now $39 million in cap space after Devontae Adams was released, and then I suspect they're going to have a little bit more after they supposedly release Aaron Rodgers. So after them, it's San Francisco. San Francisco was actually in the top 10, and they dropped.
Yeah.
They only have $32 million in cap space available now. And Carolina, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Baltimore, Miami, Tampa Bay, Houston, Kansas City, Atlanta, Buffalo. New Orleans is still $38 million in the hole.
Mickey Loomis is still crushing it out
everybody.
there. He's got inappropriate pictures of the Bensons. It's the only reason he's still the GM.
Gotta be. Well, speaking of the Chargers, because I mentioned the Chargers and the Devontae Adams sweepstakes, possibly. Joey Bosa was released this week too.
Yeah.
So there's a
go
name
get
out
him,
there.
Seattle. Go get him.
But I have to wonder what kind of money he would pull, considering his injury history as well.
Yeah. That's the only, and I think he had 5 sacks last year, so not exactly huge amount, but I just think when healthy, that's a big caveat. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. But Ryan, I do have to, so the Geno Smith trade, now Seattle has no quarterback, and you hope that they have a plan. And supposedly the Seahawks are looking at Sam Darnold. I know we talked about it, but do you think Sam Darnold would be a viable option for the Jets? Would he go back there?
I think we talked about this.
I think we did
last episode of the previous episode, or last week's Saturday brunch, and I don't think they're going to be bringing him back. They're looking at other quarterbacks, and the last quarterback I heard was Justin Fields.
Oh, see, I don't mind that. I said to myself, for Seattle, if Justin Fields becomes available, if the Steelers do go get Trevor Lawrence, which there's supposedly some interest there, that leaves Justin Fields persona non grata. I would say, I said last night, the Seahawks go get Justin Fields. I think it could work. I think he has some talent if you can help him build. And also, we know Seahawks line is not too good, but Justin Fields can evade pressure. But why? What are your thoughts about Fields potentially on the Jets? I mean, you have a capable quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. So, I mean, I don't know. Justin Fields to the Jets. Why you seemed a little disheartened.
I've seen what Justin Fields can do when throwing the ball. I'm not too impressed. It seems like his favorite target is the ground. I don't mean to be mean, but
yeah.
He said so. He had what 2 different coaches in Chicago with 2 different systems.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes to Pittsburgh, struggles there, and he was only brought in for certain situations, like it was a blowout, like during a blowout, or if it was a gadget play. And it's like they didn't use him like I thought they were going to use him, and they only spent a 6th round pick for him.
He had them 6-2 though. Now a lot of it was because of the Steelers defense to start the season, but they were 6-2 under his leadership there. I don't know. It's interesting, because I don't think this quarterback class, I don't know enough about college football. You know more than I do, but I don't think this quarterback class is particularly good outside of 2 guys, really. There's some hubbub now Yeah, whether the Seahawks would take Jackson Dart, that was. And I realized I forgot to delete my headline from last night's. I questioned whether the Seahawks are going full rebuild, because that's what it feels like to me, which doesn't make sense after you have an improving defense and a 10-win team last year. But that's neither here nor there. That's for another show.
Well,
but
you got Sam Howell as your quarterback,
No.
but I have to wonder if Seattle's going to build for the future, because there are some guys, there are some serviceable players, quarterbacks out there who could make a splash. I mean, Kyle McCord from Syracuse is projected to be a top day 2 pick. He certainly won't be a first round. Jackson Darton's out there. Cam Ward is the number one. I think Cam Ward will be one of the top 3 or 4, one of the top 3 or 4 picks. I think it'll be either Cleveland or the Giants who get a guy like him.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders. I think there's just more. It's more about his last name than his play on the field. Granted, the last couple of seasons in Colorado, he's been a decent quarterback, but I think it's more who he's associated with and the name he has than his overall play. My opinion.
Okay.
I don't have enough. I don't watch college football enough to really dig into the details, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. I'm with you. Of the releases, I don't know how I've turned this into like a panel show. Of the releases, are there any players out there that you are hoping the Jets would go get? Like, do they go after Jason, who was released by the Commanders, and add a piece to that defense? I don't
Jonathan
know.
Allen
Or Jonathan Allen. Yeah. Why did I say Jason Allen? Jeez, I went back. Or Jared Allen. Oh my God. Yeah. I was all over the place.
I think they would take a flyer on Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
Because they need help on the interior. They bled rushing yards last year. Like, they could not. They after they traded. Who was it? They traded Denver.
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember his name.
Real-time research. Here we go. But also, New England's gonna do something with that cap space.
For sure.
They have to. And you got Vrabel there now. So I mean, who knows what he's gonna do to put his identity on his stamp back on that Patriots team. I don't know. There's so much.
John Franklin Myers. That's who I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. After they trade John Franklin Myers to Denver to relieve cap space so they could bring in a guy like Devontae Adams, it completely screwed up their defensive. It completely screwed up their run stopping ability. I mean, Quentin Williams can only do so much on the interior.
Yeah.
They needed another guy to fill in that gap, and Michael Clemens wasn't it. And I think he'll be gone. But yeah, I would like to see them bring in Jonathan Allen for a team-friendly deal, like a 1-year deal, just to kind of fill in that gap that was missing. That they missed Jonathan Franklin Myers with. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see them bring him in just for that. But they have some other areas to fill. They're good at running back. They're okay at wide receiver. But quarterback is always going to be the big question.
Yeah.
And Tyrod's going to be in for another year. I don't know who they're going to bring in free agency. And I'm pretty sure they're going to draft the quarterback on day 2.
Yeah, I mean, you would
or they trade back into the first round and try to get some money there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, you would think they would have to, because I mean, I don't know, and I am hoping for you that Mel Kiper's prediction does not come true for you, because I know that would make you very unhappy. I don't want to see another unhappy Ryan during Jets season.
I don't want to be unhappy Ryan during the Jets season. It should probably be like a 7-10 or 8-9 again, but it's the first year of Aaron Glenn, so
yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to our last segment because Obi Goldwatch is on, but he didn't score any goals since Tuesday, so there's really no update for.
Come on, Obi, get on the sticks. We want to use our graphic. And also, if you haven't entered, hey, Playmaker, get in there, take a guess. Take a guess. Do you want a package with a No Cred shirt and a bag of Invader coffee and also some Righteous Felon craft beef jerky and if you get it 100% right, a bonus prize yet to be determined? Get in there and enter. Put your guess in there. Put your guess in there.
Yeah.
Comment on our social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Uncle Al's the only one right now. Appreciate you, Uncle Al, but hopefully you go up against some people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Hold on a second. I made a mistake. Hold on. I get the graphic.
OV Gold Watch 2025.
It just hits so hard.
It
He
does.
did score a goal this week, and now he's 10 away from breaking the record.
Wow. Okay.
My
He's
apologies.
10. He's
9
10.
9 from tying and 10 from breaking.
Wow. Okay. We're gonna witness history this year. I can feel it.
I hope we do. I hope
people are saying it goes into next season. I don't think so. I think he gets there. He's got time. He's got time.
Yeah, he's got another month to go. All right. Last segment. Our favorite athletes to wear the number 17. Because this is the 17th episode of the 2025 recording year. And we're going over our favorite athletes that we've watched play live or on television in our generation to wear our favorite athletes to wear the number 17. And as always, I'm going to have my co-host lead off here. Who is your favorite athlete to wear the number 17?
Well, this is probably, if you've been listening to No Credentials Required for a long time, and you've listened to my tenure on the show, the pick for number 17, it didn't come to me right away, but then I was like, wait a minute. And it jumps off the page. Who I am picking as my favorite number 17, I've always had a affinity for this athlete. He was one of my favorites during his era, and you will have to go back to I believe he got accepted into the Hall of Fame, and we reacted to it. Todd Helton.
Yes.
Todd Helton is my favorite to wear the number 17. I loved watching Todd Helton play. I don't know why. He hit like 369 home runs or something like that. And I always kind of, how sometimes, Ryan, you pick I'm a Yankee fan through and through, but sometimes you pick like a National League team to start rooting for, every once in a while. And because of Todd Helton, I would always kind of silently root for the Rockies, and I liked their purple uniforms. So Todd Helton, underrated player, I think, and also defensively he could play. He wasn't one of these guys at first base who was just an amazing hitter, but a defensive liability. I'm looking at you, David Ortiz, but Todd Helton.
What's your protein shakes?
yeah.
Alleged protein shakes.
But I just always liked Todd Helton, and he had a great beard. There's just a lot. Todd Helton, underrated hitter. People are like, oh, his numbers are inflated because he played at Coors Field. He could still hit outside of Coors Field. He proved that again and again. The outcome of their World Series appearance against the Boston Red Sox was unfortunate, to say the least. But I remember rooting for that Rockies team because they had that unlikely run. They got hot at the end of that season, and they rode the wave all the way to the World Series, where they promptly got swept out by the Red Sox. I'm sure Todd is not going to be happy with me for bringing that up. But Todd Helton, just a fixture of my youth. Watching baseball, my youth and teen years. And was he also, Ryan, was he a college quarterback at
I was just about to bring up that fact.
Yeah.
Todd Helton was a quarterback at the University of Tennessee, and he was a starting quarterback in 1994 before he got hurt and Peyton Manning took over.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay. I knew he was a college quarterback. I just couldn't remember where. So obviously multi-talented athlete, and just, I don't know much about Todd Helton, the man, but as far as a baseball player, I felt that he was underrated, great player. And I just really enjoyed watching Todd Helton, and I always rooted for him. So he's my pick for my favorite number 17.
There you go. And I tried to bring up a photo of Todd Helton and Peyton Manning. But the Denver Post won't let me view it unless I sign up for $1 for a year.
No,
Screw
thanks.
you, Denver Post.
Yeah, no thanks. That's too rich.
No, because I know I'll forget this. I'll forget to unsubscribe, then I'll be charged like $50 a month. So,
yeah,
no.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Bad Denver Post. Go to the corner. All right, my favorite athlete to wear number 17. I'm gonna go basketball.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with basketball. I don't make many basketball picks. I know for certain numbers I'll have basketball picks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, Dennis Rodman was number 10 for me.
Yep.
But number 17, it is gonna be a name that brings some people from the 80s and the 90s back to it. Chris Mullin.
Oh man, Chris Mullin. I was like, are you about to go Mario Ellie? I was wondering. I was like, oh man.
By the way, Mario Ellie was number 10 in my top pro athletes to come to the Capital Region.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he had Capital Region ties.
Albany Patroons.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wow.
I believe he was coached by George Karl.
Yeah, because George Karl and Phil Jackson both coached the Albany Patroons. Man, I miss going to the Patroons game when I was little. Special shout out to you, Dad. Thanks for taking me to those games.
Yeah, so let's see. Yep, I've spent 2 seasons with the Albany Patroons, earning all CBA first team honors in 1991. I think George Karl was the coach of that team, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Chris Mullin, going all the way back to his days at St. John's. You know, New York kid, played for St. John's, who back in the 80s who are always mentioned in the conversation of college football elite teams, because the Big East was such a great league back then. And by the way, I missed the OG Big East with Georgetown, Syracuse, St. John's, Providence.
That was a powerhouse college conference. That was like when college basketball was like rivaling the NBA as far as like coverage and level of play. I mean, amazing.
And the Big East could have been it could have been a great conference if Penn State were to join. But Penn State didn't have a great basketball team. They were a football school. So they could have been part of the Big East back in the 80s, but they said, no, you don't. Your basketball team is bad. You go away to the Big Ten.
A dismissive hand wave.
That's pretty much what it was. And you're a state school. We are proud private Catholic. We are proud Catholic private schools. We're gonna just you unwashed masses go to the Big Ten.
Oh,
anyway, Chris Mullin, number 17. For the St. John's Redmen, now the Red Storm, drafted by the Golden State Warriors, played his entire career with the Golden State Warriors, I believe. But he was also he was with the Indiana Pacers too.
I was going to say, I thought he played for the Pacers for a bit.
He played for the Pacers in the 90s when they were going against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. That's right. I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, great player, great shooter, all-around hustle guy. And I will say this too, because this is very admirable for him, because early in his career he struggled with alcoholism. He went to rehab and he's been clean and sober ever since. And that turned around my career was when I got clean, when I got sober. Mm-hmm. And he was also one of the members of the original Dream Team back in 1992. Yep. I remember reading about him. Not much reading about him in the book that I read in our trip to the Outer Banks in 2012. I read about that.
About the Dream Team.
About the Dream Team. That was my reading for our Outer Banks trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have not much to say about Chris Mullin, but he was a dangerous shooter and just a guy who just kept the teams together. Like he was in that Run TMC with Tim Hardaway and Mitch Richmond and the Golden State Warriors. That team with Don Nelson coaching that team should have won a title or two.
That was
Hardaway had his troubles with injuries, and Mullen carried those teams. He carried those teams in the 90s, and he got to play with Chris Webber for a bit. And those Golden State Warriors teams, they struggled and then he went to Indiana and had some really good years in Indiana. I think they went to did they go to the NBA Finals in 2000 or 2001?
I think it was two. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks a couple times. There was that rivalry. I think they went to the finals in 2000.
2000. That was his next to the second to last year in the league. So they lost to the Lakers in 7 games. But he was a part of those teams that went very far in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs in the late 90s and 2000s. And let me just see. Yeah, there were and look, oh my gosh, the list of Hall of Famers to come from that NBA from that 2000s, those 2000 finals. Listen to this list: Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin as players. Coaches: Larry Bird, no exception. Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, who was Phil Jackson's assistant coach, the pioneer of the triangle offense. And then you have two officials, Dick Bavetta and Hugh Evans, who also went to the Hall of Fame. So Chris Mullin from 85 to 97 played for Golden State. Then from 97 to 2000 played for Indiana, and then went back to the Golden State Warriors in 2000, 2001. That was his final season. Also a coach at St. John's. Didn't fare too well at St. John's. Coached for them for 4 seasons. But in college, he didn't wear number 17. He wore number 20.
Okay.
But he wore he's mostly known as number 17 for the Golden State Warriors and for the Indiana Pacers. So I gotta say though, the Indiana Pacers back then, the 90s and 2000s teams, those pinstripe uniforms, they're clean.
Yeah, I like them. I do. Yankees, a lot of Yankee fans get very touchy whenever another team wears pinstripes. They're like, pinstripes are a Yankees thing. And ironically, both our picks for our favorite number 17, because the Rockies had those pinstripe uniforms as well for a while.
They did.
And I thought in both cases they look good. I like those Pacer uniforms. They're good.
Yeah, they're clean. They were clean. So if leave a comment about your favorite number 7, your favorite athlete you watched to wear the number 17, whether it be here or on our other social pages or on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page a little later on today. All right, we're gonna get ourselves out of here. We'll have another show on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be reviewing episodes 3 and 4 of Charlie Hustle, and we'll also talk about more NFL news because tampering begins. Yay, tampering!
And ironically, Playmaker's comment from earlier, don't be alarmed if Davante Adams is linked to the Rams. Davante Adams, number 17. Yeah. Wonderful synergy for the show. Thanks for the assist, Playmaker.
Yeah, thanks, Playmaker. We appreciate you. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Also find other great podcasts and written articles on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora. The audio will be on YouTube later. And please don't forget to hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when we go live, when we have show announcements, we have video clips, shorts. I get back on the shorts train. This week was a busy week, so I didn't get a chance to do many shorts. But I'll probably clip that egg story later
clip
on.
The egg story.
But subscribe and follow us on social media. On the podcast side, rate, review, comment. 5-star rating would be helpful. A review on a platform wherever you review, that's also helpful. And on Spotify, leave a comment. Also on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, if you're watching our video, comment below about the episode, about the Pete Rose documentary, about NFL news and player releases. Where do you think some players will go? Your favorite athlete to wear the number 17. Again, this is not necessarily the greatest athlete to wear the number 17. We're talking about our favorite athletes to ever wear the number 17. So we're going to get out of here and enjoy our respective Saturdays. Thanks for joining us on No Crunches Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back here Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope you see you then.
Good morning, everybody.